When you think of iconic 90s and 2000 actors, who comes to mind? Keanu Reeves in The Matrix? Tom Hanks in Castaway? What about Edward Norton in Fight Club? Well, what about one of the actors from one of the most iconic comedy hits out there, American Pie? That movie saw the rise of just about every main cast member. However, those roles were so distinct for those actors that some were basically typecast into that exact role for the rest of their acting career. Jason Biggs, forever the nerdy, quirky guy. But what about one of the most iconic characters from that movie? Stifler, or the Stiffmeister. Seann William Scott's breakout role in American Pie essentially did define the rest of his acting career opportunities. Also, what other big three-name actors can you think of? Okay, stick with me for a minute. It's interesting to see his trajectory once he blew up. Every now and again, he would try to branch off into a different genre. For example, Final Destination. But the suits and the higher-ups were kind of just like, nah, you're making us too much money, you gotta stick to comedy. And he did have several more bangers of varying roles of importance. We got Road Trip, Dude, Where's My Car, Evolution, Old School. It wasn't until Bulletproof Monk that he was given the opportunity to do more action, but also still comedy, and that didn't do too well. Then The Rundown with The Rock, and it did all right. And then Dukes of Hazzard, and that didn't do too well. But still, his comedies still performed well, like Role Models. And then, bam, he did Goon. He gets an actual serious role and absolutely nails it. And the term goon back then meant something completely different than what it means today. Every so often, he gets these serious roles and he's great in them. Bloodline, The Wrath of Becky, and finally, the subject of today's matter, Dolly. Hello and welcome to Film Peaks, where we investigate where film peaks or valleys. As usual, I'll keep this spoiler free, but I will show my score at the end. I show it at the end because my score is a review of the quality throughout the film, and some might view that as a spoiler, so I'll chuck that in at the end. I will give you a warning. Anyway, let's dig in. This one will be pretty quick. There's a few things that I found interesting about this movie, why it's worth talking about in the first place. The first being Seann William Scott is in it. The second is that Ethan Suplee is in it as well. You may recognize him from American History X, Remember the Titans, The Butterfly Effect, and actually a lot of other bangers out there. The two actors seem to have kind of stuck together since the 2000s. But you know, they both had their time to shine since the 2000s, so it kind of makes sense. And the third, the writer/director Rod Blackhurst. Dolly is his latest directorial feature, but you might recognize him from the short Night Swim, which did evolve into a full feature film in which he was a writer for. One important thing to note about this movie is that it is absolutely B-horror. I wouldn't expect this type of movie to ever be in theaters. It is simply a horror movie for horror fans. Which does kind of make sense being a Shudder movie. You have to kind of wade through the films of varying quality that they produce. But sometimes you can find some real gems like Late Night with the Devil, Host, Deadstream if you don't mind a decent amount of comedy. And actually one of the best horror movies that I've seen in a while, When Evil Lurks. We just have to be thankful that there is a dedicated horror studio out there, so I try to give them my support when I can. If any of those previous titles mentioned you enjoyed or can enjoy, then I think you can enjoy this movie as well. Just don't expect it to stand up there with some of the greats. Let's be real, the only reason you're watching this movie is to see some gruesome deaths and see some messed up stuff happen without too much thought. The setup of Dolly is pretty simple. Seann William Scott plays Chase, a man taking his girlfriend out on a scenic hike in order to propose to her. and his girlfriend is named Macy, played by Fabienne Therese. When they're out in the woods, they hear some creepy music, and when they go to investigate, they are kidnapped by this giant hulking woman wearing a doll helmet. Like literally a porcelain doll head over her head as a helmet with a broken out eye. And it's actually a fantastic casting choice here with Max the Impaler playing Dolly. She is a world-renowned wrestler that can absolutely wreck shit. So this actually makes the second movie that Seann William Scott has been in co-starring alongside a world-famous wrestler like The Rundown. My main criticism though of the Dolly character is they chose to make her completely silent. There might be some like grunts here and there, maybe some breathing noises and whatnot, but other than that, cannot talk, doesn't really make noise. I think it would have highly elevated the film if she could at least say some words or just make more noise. Like the scenes where she is mad or upset or whatever, she just kind of goes like this and like rocks back and forth. And I don't know if they were going for like a mentally ill angle here or what, but it is interesting to see how she thinks, like she doesn't know her own strength. From here though, it's basically Texas Chainsaw Massacre meets Barbarian. Dolly lives in a decrepit house in the middle of the woods, seemingly alone. After a lifetime of abuse and probably some torture thrown in there, all she knows is how to take care of her dolls, which in this case are helpless victims that just kind of stumble upon her territory. From what we see, victims are given their own room, complete with a crib to sleep in and dressed up as dolls. And they're just kind of left there until Dolly comes in to either feed them or take care of them. While locked in her room, Macy hears another victim on the other side of the wall who says that there's a key that will unlock the doors for them to get out, but it's of course hidden in the basement. So it's up to Macy to kind of play along until she can figure a way out. So knowing that much, you can probably guess what kind of movie it is and how the events play out. There is some really gnarly lower budget gore here though, but I'm not gonna spoil that. So overall, like it is a pretty cool premise. Like they have some good characters here. And when you see Ethan Suplee's Toby, you'll be like, oh shit, it's that guy. However, it kind of does fall short from being great. Like the setup is there. It is a tried and true formula. It just doesn't quite get over that hump. There are some sequences that have literally zero payoff and just ultimately could have been done way better. Seann William Scott is just totally underutilized at times. And I kind of do wonder, like, how did he agree to do this movie in the first place? When he's on screen, he's great. They just don't really like tap into what he's capable of. Like this is a prime example of a movie that could have been great. It just doesn't get there. Again, I think this is worth mentioning though, because I do like to see Seann William Scott around these days still. He's shown that he can do more than just comedies, but Hollywood, for whatever reason, just kind of refuses to give him that chance. Anyways, I'm about to show my score though, so this is your last chance to avoid anything spoilery. There will be no spoilers after my score. It is just the score, but here's your last chance. Okay, so this is what I thought of the movie. It has the bones of something that could be great, but again, it just doesn't reach that point. I'm not sure if it's due to budget constraints or whatnot, but Rod kind of doesn't have the best track record at this point. But hey, he's been able to get multiple projects to completion at this point, so that's more than me. Anyways, what do you think? Is this a good horror movie at all? What's your favorite Seann William Scott movie? What's your favorite Ethan Suplee movie? What's your favorite 2000s movie? Let me know in the Film Peaks app or comments below. The Film Peaks app is free on iOS and on Android. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you at the top.